This was in the shul that we davened in. There was a shtibel, actually, in Stuyvesant. There was a bar mitzvah there that had many guests, and whoever was davening for the Yomid, I was there helping him, singing along with him and everything else. And so happened that Joshua Weisser happened to be one of the guests over there. And it seems he heard me sing along with whoever davened there. And as soon as the davening was over, he came over to me. He said, "Is your father here?" So I said, "Yes." Could you introduce me to your father? So I said, I could. Yeah, I took him over to my father. And he said, what's my name? I said, Shenker. He says, "Mr. Shenker, I'm very interested in your son as joining my choir. I happen to like his voice very much." My father listens. He says, "Choir? Nah, that's not for my son. He's a yeshiva boy. I don't think it's a good idea." So he says, "Well, why don't you think it's a good idea?" He says, "Well, the caliber of the people in choirs today is not really what we're looking for. I mean, the people in choirs were really not. Most of them were not really religious. They just had this. They liked to sing, or they had this little job and stuff, and they went along. And I don't want him to mix with irreligious people. And he's a young boy, and he's young children pick up everything, the environment, and I don't think it's a good idea." So he tried to argue with him. My father was very reluctant. So he asked my father his address. "Where do you live?" He wants to speak to my mother. He thinks maybe he'll do better with her. So sure, my father said, "You can come up." I mean, he gave him we lived in Lafayette Avenue at the time. I remember. I think it was 709 Lafayette Avenue. I'm not sure. That was it, but I think about that. Right off Tompkins. I don't know if you know Bedford Stuyvesant. You know it?
Sure.
Yeah. They had a park on Lafayette and Tompkins.
Yeah.
Beautiful park. And sure enough, during the week, he just came up, he knocked on the door, and here was us. And he started speaking to my mother, and she said the same thing. She doesn't want me to leave for the Yom Tovim, for Shabbosim. They have to travel. He's a young boy. They're very impressionable. So he said, "What if I promise you that wherever I go, I'll make sure that he stays at the rabbi's house?" Mm-hmm. That'll be. My relative said it's certainly a good point. I mean, however, he'll be away to Rosh Hashanah, he'll be away Sukkot, so we want him at home. We don't want him to travel. Anyway, he spoke so long until he actually convinced my parents he can take care, make sure that I'd be in the rabbi's house and so forth.